Destination Freedom. Destination Freedom, dramatizations of the great democratic heritage of the Negro people, is brought to you by station WMAQ as a part of the pageant of history and of America's own Destination Freedom. As the last century drew to a close, a young poet rose out of Dayton, Ohio, shot across the literary sky like a comet, and left in his wake volumes of poems and stories that remain among the most treasured artistic creations of his generation. He was Paul Laurence Dunbar. In a chapter entitled Before I Sleep, Destination Freedom tells the Dunbar story.
The pains first found me that day in Dayton when I raised my hand in the high school classroom. On that day, I volunteered to read Shakespeare in the auditorium. On that day, I met my doom and my redemption. It came about this way.
Paul, did you have your hand up? Paul,
Yes, sir?
is something biting you? Do you have to screw up your face that way? No. There'll be none of that. Paul, will you or will you not volunteer to memorize some of Shakespeare's poems to read to the Parent Teachers Association Wednesday night?
Yes, sir.
For the school's honor student, the class poet, you get oddly inarticulate at times. Will you find your voice in time to do justice to Shakespeare and to Central High?
Yes, sir.
Now listen. Be sure you look over your Shakespeare volumes carefully.
I listened.
Memorize them.
Although I listened, I strained my ears so that I could forget the odd pain that was slicing through my body. And even though I didn't know from where it came, I knew when I stood with Mother before the Dayton doctor where it would take me.
Mrs. Dunbar, it'll take your son to an early grave unless you're careful.
No, Doctor.
Well, now, there's nothing to be alarmed about. Consumption is curable. You take him out west somewhere and give him plenty of rest and sunshine, let the fresh air wash off some of the dirt of Dayton, he'll outlive Methuselah. Somehow, you've got to get him to a different climate.
How?
Well, unfortunately, I can only write out the prescription. I can't see that he gets it. Paul's an honor student. He'll think of a way himself. He'll earn enough money to carry you both out there, won't you, Paul? Somehow.
Somehow.
Good boy. Well, this won't interfere with your schoolwork. Say, word's gotten around that you're going to recite Shakespeare again at the PTA meeting, Paul. Well, you're a natural-born orator, son. I'll be there to hear you. Head up. Look alive.
The world looked brighter. I wanted to stay alive, to know the world and have it know me. Mom went home much relieved. I went to my room and thought about the PTA assignment. I tried to pick a Shakespeare poem and memorize it, but the words I once loved to read seemed unreal and unrelated to my true feelings. I walked down by the Miami River and watched sunlight sparkle on the ripples. The shallow water washed over the pebbles with a gentle hush-hush sound. I tried to memorize my Wednesday assignment. I forced the words of Shakespeare through my mind, but somehow my head hummed with the echoes of unwritten rhymes. I took out my pencil and scribbled on the back of a composition book. Poems of my own were coming to me. That day at the doctor's office, I had found my doom. There by the river bank, I found my redemption.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, attention, please. Thank you. Now we'll hear from Central High's honor student, Paul Laurence Dunbar, who will recite a selection from the writings of the immortal William Shakespeare. Paul, they're waiting.
Yes, sir? I opened my mouth, and the strange pains found me standing before the audience without a word of Shakespeare in my mind, but still with an unwritten rhyme fixed in my head.
Go on, blockhead. Announce your number.
Ere sleep comes down to soothe the weary eyes. Ere sleep comes down to soothe the weary eyes, which all the day with ceaseless care have sought the magic gold which from the seeker flies. Ere dreams put on the gown and cap of thought, and make the waking world a world of lies most palpable, uncouth, forlorn, that say life's full of aches and tears and sighs. Oh, how with more than dreams the soul is torn, ere sleep comes down to soothe the weary eyes. The last dear sleep whose soft embrace is balm, and whom sad sorrow teaches us to prize for kissing all our passions into calm. Ah, then, no more we heed the sad world's cries, or seek to probe the eternal mystery, or fret our souls at long withheld replies, at gloom through which our visions cannot see, when sleep comes down to seal the weary eyes. After the polite applause, after the audience had gone home to sleep and forget the evening, the teacher looked puzzled and stopped me before I left the building.
Paul,
Yes, sir?
your recitation was well received. I didn't know you knew that particular Shakespearean piece. You can never tell what you can do until you try. Now, can you?
No. I never told her that Paul Dunbar, not Shakespeare, had written the poem. I never told her that hereafter I would use poetry and the rhymes I made to help escape the pain that lived in my body. I only told two friends who had watched me grow up in Dayton. I told Orville and Wilbur Wright the next day as they sat stacking type in their printing shop.
That's a right pretty poem you've written, Paul. Right pretty.
You setting it up in type already, Orville?
Oh, sure, Wilbur. Let the town see it in the next edition. Need something to help sell these papers, don't we?
All need something, too.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to explain to 'em. Now, Paul, poetry writing's not the most profitable kind of profession you can get into.
It's a natural for me.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You're built sort of frail and ethereal looking. Like you're not long for this world.
The doctor said
Yeah,
if
I
went
know
out
what the doc said, Paul. You need sunshine. But, kid, me and Wilbur get poems from all kinds of poets. We print 'em, but we can't pay a cent. You'll find other papers the same way. You picked a crazy dream.
Who says it's crazy?
Now, Wilbur...
Paul's been penning poems since he was able to write. Now, we're mechanics. We're no judge of poetry. But when you say it's crazy...
Now, Wilbur...
Everybody in Dayton says this flying machine we've been trying to make for the last 5 years is crazy, too. We know better. Now, maybe Paul knows better than we do what he needs to do to get what he wants. I'll let him do it.
I sat around the Wright brothers' shop and wrote poems on proof paper and sent them off to newspapers and magazines. And at first they came back so fast, I wondered if the editors had had time to read them. So I went out to try to get a job.
No, don't need no clerk, kid. And you're too frail to handle the hotel's freight, so I guess...
Your ad said you needed someone to address envelopes.
It said that all right enough.
Well, I'm not too frail to lift the pen.
Well, let's see your writing. Scribble your John Henry down here.
Yes, sir.
Well, well. Handwriting like that's a thing of the past. Would look mighty good in the hotel's envelope.
Did I get the job?
Oh, no, not that one. That's for whites, naturally. Could use you, though, in the elevator. Need a nice, genteel fellow like you to run the elevator. 4 a week.
Elevator? 4 a week?
Boy, you're sure lucky you showed me that handwriting. Always did appreciate pretty writing. I'll be able to read the traffic reports you'll have to write each week in your passengers. Boy, you're sure lucky you got good handwriting.
Somehow, as I went to sit in my dark cage, I didn't feel very lucky. I wondered how soon the pains would appear again, and how long it would be before I had won my way to the sunshine.
Now, be careful, boy. This levers the emergency. This one closes the door.
The starter was schooling me.
Hey, You paying attention to me?
Yes, sir.
What are you holding on to them books for? What are they? Let's see. Shakespeare. The dictionary.
Yes, sir.
An elevator boy with Shakespeare in his hand. You'll be demoralizing the services. Shakespeare. You're loaded.
I set about the job of lifting a few human tons up and down the 23 floors of the building. In my spare moments, I scrawled down rhymes that sang inside me and penned verses about the passengers I glimpsed for the few blank seconds they stood suspended in my cage. I was quiet. I was calm about my work, though I knew the longer I lived away from the sunshine, the more certain was my doom. And sometimes I worked feverishly over the poems that kept coming back from the publishers. And while some crashed through and landed in a column here and there, the price they brought would not buy much sunshine. I got into the habit of writing as the elevator traveled up and down the tall building. And as I absentmindedly ran the elevator one morning, operating the door with one hand,
18th floor, please.
and scribbling notes with the other, tearing sheets off my tablet and tossing them to the floor as I finished, a passenger noticed it and said,
You dropped something, son.
Dropped off your tablet.
Here. Nice penmanship. Nice. Mind if I read this?
He read in silence till his stop came. 18, sir.
Oh, yes. Son, what do you intend doing with these poems?
Whatever I can.
Well, why don't you let the Western Writers Conference see some of these?
Western writers?
Yes, they're meeting here in the hotel. Each year they gather and give a reward for the best work they can find. Now, suppose you go right down and read them some of these.
Well, I haven't been invited, and
Well, I'm giving you an invitation myself. Now, hand this card to the chairman. I'm leaving town this evening, but before I'll go, I'll tell him to expect you. Will you use it?
Well, I'll use it.
Good. I don't think you'll regret it, son.
He left, and I looked down at his card. It said,
James Whitcomb Riley.
The next morning, after I had transported my passenger to the conference, I asked the starter if I might go in for a few minutes.
For what?
Well, I'd sort of like to see if they like my poetry.
Your poetry. Some of the best poets in the country in there already. They don't need no amateurs.
Can I take off?
Well, make it quick. I'll handle your elevator till you come back. Hurry up now.
I hurried into the conference room and down to the chairman's desk. I gave him the poet's card and explained what I wanted. He looked puzzled for a second, then called the conference to order.
Will the conference please come to order? Order, please. Our good friend, Mr. Riley, has just sent in a protege to read some of his own original poems to be considered for the grand prize.
Well, sir, I wasn't aiming at the grand prize.
Now, if Mr. Riley sent you, I'm sure you're well qualified. Name and occupation, please.
Well, I run the elevator.
Oh, yes, of course you do. Is the conference willing to tolerate another of Mr. Riley's practical jokes? All right. Well, boy, read your work.
I picked a poem I had written when I had felt a surge of confidence come over me. Night is for sorrow and dawn is for joy, chasing the troubles that fret and annoy. Darkness for sighing and daylight for song. Cheery and chaste the strain, heartfelt and strong. All the night through, though I moan in the dark, I wake in the morning to sing with a lark. Deep in the midnight, the rain whips the leaves. Softly and sadly the wood spirit grieves. But when the first hue of dawn tints the sky, I shall shake out my wings like the birds and be dry. And though, like the raindrops, I grieved through the dark, I shall wake in the morning to sing with a lark. On the high hills of heaven, some morning to be, where rain shall not grieve through the leaves of the tree. There my heart will be glad for the pain I have known, for my hand will be clasped in the hand of mine own. And though life has been hard and death's pathway been dark, I shall wake in the morning to sing with a lark.
Paul! Hey, Paul!
When I finished, the starter was calling me back to work.
You, Paul! I'm coming.
I walked down the silent aisles and back onto my cage.
With enough traffic like this to interfere in business that ain't yours. All right, take her up. You're loaded.
I went on taking up my loads, but I had seen the open mouth of the chairman of the conference and the rapt faces of the gathering, and somehow I was not surprised when the next day a passenger entered the elevator. Floor, please.
Never mind that, young man. I came to give you a medal you won
Metal?
for yesterday's poem. Unanimous decision of the committee. It was the best we've heard. No money attached to the award, but hereafter I think you'll find it easier to get your work printed.
He pinned a medal on me as the elevator rose to the top floor. I took his advice and went home and collected the piles of manuscripts and put them in a bundle. I rushed down to the print shop of the Wright brothers, and they looked through the poems, and Arvel said,
Yeah, you won the medal fair and square, all right, Paul. We'd like to print every one of them.
But what about a book?
Yeah, true. It'd be better if they were printed in a book. It'd sell better if people would read them and keep them. Oh, only thing...
Yes?
Well, Wilbur and I have sold out the shop.
Oh. Well, where are you going?
Well, we got enough to try another experiment with that flying machine. We can't afford to experiment with your poetry.
I see. Well, I wish you luck.
No, just a minute. No, we can't do it, but why don't you try the old man?
You mean your father, Bishop Wright?
Yeah. He's still head of the United Brethren Publishing House on 4th and Main. Try the old man.
I hurried up to 4th and Main with my bundle under my arm. I got inside just as it was about to close.
Oh, the bishop's not here, kid. Left town an hour ago. Won't be back till fall. Sorry.
I turned and went down the hallway past the desk where sat the editors with their heads bent over books and proofs. And as I was about to leave, one looked up.
Say,
Yes?
you the kid who runs the hotel elevator?
The same.
You got any more poems like the one you read before the conference, or was that an accident?
Well, if it was, I can make it happen again.
Now, let's see.
I put down the scribblings on his desk. He searched through them and finally answered.
It wasn't any accident. I'll tell you what. Suppose I pay for the publishing of the book and we split the profits.
Well, you talked me into it. I went home singing. I went home, and although winter in Dayton, Ohio was cold and dark that year, I felt the sunshine on my face when a thin sheaf of poems I called Oak and Ivory came off the press. I went up and down the Dayton streets and sold enough copies of the book to buy my way to a better job in Chicago.
The weather's worse in Chicago, Paul.
But the World's Fair's in Chicago, Mom. Frederick Douglass is up there. And if he likes the book, he'll tell the folks at the fair. And if they buy it, I can...
Now, don't build your hopes too high. I don't like to see you go so far, son. Only, I know if they buy it, you can buy yourself a longer life. Go on, Paul. The better you write, the longer you live.
She said it that way. She faced it. And I went to Chicago and worked at the World Columbian Exposition of 1893 with Frederick Douglass. And when it closed, I got acquainted with the cold Lake Michigan winds. But slowly the publishers across the country were becoming curious about the poems that piled up on their desk and had begun to read them. In the New York Times, the Herald, the Century, my poems were being printed. Sometimes I sent songs that I first heard as talk from the mouths of people I saw sunning themselves on the city porches. Words I rhymed when I saw a migrant from Mississippi sitting on the porch with his grandson.
Little brown baby with sparkling eyes, come to your pappy and sit on his knee. What you been doing, sir? Making sand pies? Look at that bib. You's as dirty as me. Look at that mouth. That's molasses, I bet. Come here, Mariah, and wipe off his hands. Bees going to catch you and eat you up yet, being so sticky and sweet. Goodness land. Wish you could always know ease and clear skies. Wish you could stay just a child on my breast, little brown baby with sparkling eyes.
And oft times, when the pains punctured my body and it seemed I was as far from the warm sunshine I needed as I was at home in Dayton, I sent them poems of the life I knew. A crust of bread and a corner to sleep in, a minute to smile and an hour to weep in, a pint of joy to a peck of trouble, and never a laugh, but the moans come double. And that is life, a crust and a corner that love makes precious, with a smile to warm and the tears to refresh us. And joy seems sweeter when cares come after, and a moan is the finest of foils for laughter. And that is life. And that life in 1,000 different ways, in classical verse and dialect, began to be printed in every magazine I sent it to. The sunshine I need was within my reach. All my life I've been pulling for it. Now all I needed was a push. A friend in Dayton wrote and gave it to me.
Paul, I sent your poems, books, and all to a critic who's mighty interested in them.
This was Orville Wright speaking.
The guy is named Howells, William Dean Howells. He's on Harper's Weekly. Go to him. Maybe he can turn on the sunshine.
Yes? Who is it?
Paul Dunbar.
Oh, come in. I've been expecting you.
I went in, and he examined my poetry and had committed many to memory. And somehow he seemed to sense that I needed the sunshine. Quickly.
I can count the American poets on one hand who were able to live by their work. Whitman said in order to have great poets, we've got to have great audiences first. Well, I believe you're a great poet, and I'm going to see if I can get you that audience.
How?
Well, the next issue of Harper's reports the nomination of William McKinley for president. We're ahead of all the other weeklies. Millions will read it. In that issue, I'll set down your poems, and I'll tell the world that I think you have produced a work of art.
Thereafter, the going was easier. I even envisioned marriage. The pain seemed to subside, and knowing there would be plenty of time to rest and grow well and strong, I tarried on the way.
I've come all the way to Chicago to warn you, Paul. Unless you go west soon, maybe too late.
Sure, Doctor, and I thank you for it. But I thought you'd come to advise me on my marriage.
I'll advise you on that, too. Unless she's a woman who has the patience of Job and is willing to wait a long time for you to grow strong again, it won't last. The truth is, son, you seem to have been brought here on this earth to bring joy and beauty to it, but I doubt if very much will come to you. I doubt it. You've tarried too long.
His doubt proved right. I had tarried too long, and when it seemed that all the country was calling for my poetry, and when I could afford all the sunshine in the West, the fame, the fortune had come too late to heal me. And across the country I went and wrote even faster and more feverish, while the pain I had first felt the day I volunteered to recite took control of my body.
Buddy, you know what's really wrong?
In a Chicago tavern, a barkeep had a remedy.
You pay too much attention to them sawbones and pill pushers, and you'll wake up dead and won't have a bit of fun for all your dying.
Is that so?
Gospel. Now, I got a little tonic here. Best little tonic in the world for consumption and for what ails, yeah?
Yeah?
Sure. Here, let me pour you a drink. Now, one for me. Look at that. The pure green.
No, I really shouldn't.
Huh?
I've got a lecture to do in Evanston tonight, and I don't
Man, they'll appreciate you even more. Bottoms up?
Bottoms up. And so I found a way to escape from the pain, and I drowned myself in drink. And I went to the lecture and gave Evanston one it never forgot or forgave. I left that fair city and I headed for home in Dayton. I wrote a poem of explanation for the ladies in Evanston. This is the debt I pay, just for one riotous day. Years of regret and relief, sorrow without relief. Pay it I will to the end, until the grave, my friend, gives me a true release, gives me the clasp of peace. Slight was a thing I bought, small was the debt I thought, poor was the loan at best. God but the interest. And back on the streets I had walked when I was a child. I pooled all my memories into my last rhymes. I finished my feverish writing, and at the age of 34, I anticipated the newspaper reporters. I set down my own obituary. Ashes to ashes, dust unto dust. What of his loving? What of his lust? What of his passion? What of his pain? What of his poverty? What of his pride? Earth, the great mother, has called him again. Deeply he sleeps, the world's verdict defied. Shall he be tried again? Shall he go free? Who shall the court convene? Where shall it be? No answer on the land, none from the sea. Only we know that as he did, we must. You with your theories, you with your trust. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
You have just heard Destination Freedom's dramatization of the story of Paul Laurence Dunbar, noted lyric poet. Destination Freedom is written by Richard Durham and produced under the direction of Homer Heck. The role of Paul Laurence Dunbar was played by Fred Pinkard. Others were Wesleyan Tilden, Dean Almquist, Oscar Brown Jr., Cliff Norton, Jess Pugh, and Russ Reed. The special music was composed by Emil Soderstrom and was played by Elwin Owen and Jose Bethencourt. This is Charles Chan inviting you to be with us again next week when Destination Freedom will tell the story of the Negro religious leader, Richard Quinn Allen. This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.